Hello YouTube and welcome to GrunfWorks Plays KSP. This is a special episode and today we are participating in a YouTube collaboration between the whole KSP YouTube team, and I'm very fortunate to be a part of this collaboration. It's organized by Matt Laun and Marcus House, but it also features some of the more well-known KSP YouTubers like Scott Manley, Matt Laun, Bob Fitch, Hazardish, Tape Gaming, among others. And I'm very happy to be a part of this collaboration, and the task for this collaboration, unless you have watched the previous videos, is to build a joint space station in the orbit around Moon. And the point is to build a space station with each of us YouTubers adding a component that would be kind of, unique and special to us. And given the fact that I am pretty big on the communications, because after all I'm a communications engineer and I like to play with remote tech, I have decided to add a comms station for the CommNet for basically establishing the communications network around Moon, and also the main component that will be added to the station for the reasons of communications. So here you can see my guy GrunfWorks Kerman, who is an engineer, a communications engineer who will be deploying this monstrosity, and this component actually consists of, two major parts but several components, and it is actually a communications station and 4 communications satellite, and those 4 communications satellite will be put in circular, although inclined orbits around Moon. So, successful launch, we have gotten into orbit, and now we are planning our ejection to Moon. First we need to hit the stage, because we don't want to be taking this huge of a rocket all the way up to Moon. We still have to circularize a little bit, which means this component will be going down. Our first stage will be going down back to Kerbin to burn up in the atmosphere. So burning for the circularization and also hitting the apoapsis and trying to get a Moon intercept, basically. A little bit more, and here we go. Great. So I'll use the RCS thrusters to fix a little bit the orbit. Moon periapsis 20,000. That's perfect. You will notice, guys, that this video is a little bit more heavily edited than my other ones, because I wanted to keep an action happening and all this stuff, moving. Because the whole thing took me roughly an hour and a half to actually put in, and I didn't want to bore you with all of the, maneuvering things and all the maneuver nodes and all that jazz. So I thought I'd keep it snappy and to the point. So, we entered the Moon's sphere of influence, and then I'm now just trying to circularize around Moon and also to reach a point where I will be having an apoapsis of around 700 kilometers, roughly, because that's the altitude at which I will want to deploy my communication satellite network. So, okay, I think it's good enough. Let us continue. I just need to be positioning my craft so that we can actually perform the orbital insertion, basically braking around Moon to actually stay in the Moon's orbit, and that's kind of the idea. 133 meters per second to burn. We have 903 total, so we have more than enough to actually perform the orbital insertion and also the rendezvous. Alright, getting there. Screenshot for posterity, obviously. And so we have our burn coming up in 30 seconds, and the burn should take only 5 seconds because this engine is pretty powerful, and yeah, Okay, GrunfWorks, light the matches. Great. A little bit of RCS filling just to fix our apoapsis height, which is now at 700 even, which is great. So, now I want to be putting maneuver node to fix our inclination, and then we will be also fixing the encounter with the space station. But first, I want to be positioning this station and pointing it orbit normal, because I do want to eject the 4 communication satellites that you can see on the arms. They're a little bit smallish, but you'll see them once when we actually deploy them. Okay, trying to find the best camera angle. Great. I'm really happy with the component that I've built, and I'm really happy to be part of this collab. I think the station that we will be building, which you will see, because I'm not the first one to be putting my module up, you will see it's already been placed by, I think, Marcus House, Matt Lown, and a few others. So, okay. Coasting all the way up to the apoapsis, and at the apoapsis, first to the descending node, and then we will be performing a little bit correction, 4 meters per second only, which should basically correct the inclination compared to the space station, and then we will be on the next pass performing basically the break and rendezvous. Okay. Perfect. And since I have a metric crap ton of monoprop, I figured I'd do it. Okay, ejecting the satellites. Boop. I'm sorry that's a little bit dark-ish, but yeah, the game is dark, and I'm just used solar panels and expanding the solar panels to just push myself off the station, and I'm just expanding the communications array and the solar panel on each of these satellites. Great. Okay. That being said, I'm setting up another maneuver node for the rendezvous with the space station, and okay, we have a good enough encounter. So I'm just gonna set up an alarm clock, and I will be going towards, of course, putting up the rendezvous. Simply put, just finding the correct angle and getting away from all of our satellites, and time to actually match orbits, or more or less match orbits with the space station. 85 meters per second to go, which should happen in 10 seconds, and hit it. Perfect. Once again, tiny corrections on the RCS. Let's see how encounters look like. Separation 1.5 kilometer. Great. That looks good enough. Maybe I could tweak it a little. Oh, 0.0. So we will be hitting the station. And as you can see, the station is after one orbit, which I have conveniently cut out for you. We are now approaching the space station, and it's 3.2 kilometers away, and we are approaching it at roughly 56 meters per second, which is although a little bit on the fast side. I figured I didn't want this approach to take forever, and I have powerful enough engines so I can stop momentarily, and I am decreasing my speed the closer we are getting. So now you will have a chance to see the station in all of its glory. 800 more meters, and by now I'm already 4.3 meters per second, so we are gently coming towards the station. Time to turn my docking port alignment indicator. I mean, the station is fully comprising of stock components, but I'm playing with some mods that make my life a lot easier. I mean, like this docking computer and some visual enhancements which make the game much more beautiful. Okay. And obviously Kerbal alarm clock, I mean, which helps me alert me of the maneuver nodes that I would normally just fly through them. Okay, we have our encounter in 2 minutes 40 seconds because now we are only 2.6 meters per second speed compared to the station, and I have decided to just stop. And now I want to be getting rid of our transfer stage, and I'll finish up the rest with the station. So just resetting the camera a little bit to get a better perspective, and I will be undocking this component. Thank you. I will control from this docking port, and let's get it aligned and let's get this baby docked. We have still a lot to do because if you remember, we have 4 satellites deployed in the orbit which we need to set up in a communications network pattern, and also this transfer stage is containing the booster, which I would very much like to crash in the surface of Moon because I prefer not to leave any debris in the orbit. Now, if I'm seeing this correctly, the station itself is a little bit inclined, and rather than coming inclined, I will much prefer to dock, actually at 90 degrees compared to the space station, and then we will maybe rotate the space station. Although, given the looks of it, it might be a little bit of a risky endeavor. Okay, so we are aligned with the station, and I will be docking, I think, on top of Mark Thrym habitation ring, because this would give the station some cool verticality, I believe. Okay, 180 meters, 170 meters, we are closing up on the station. $100. The good thing is, when I was designing this station, I've balanced it using the RCS build aid mod, which helps me make it balanced, so once I'm pressing the thrusters, the station isn't rotating, so it's translating as it should, which is an awesome thing. Makes dockings a lot easier. Okay, coming in ever so gently. 0.7, 0.4, 0.3, and docked. Beautiful. Screenshot, mandatory, of course. And time to deploy the arms. Because, the communications network is a little bit power consuming. And I wouldn't be a really good of a communications engineer if I let my communication dishes ran out of battery and remain silent for the whole time. So no, that's something that we're not gonna allow. So I have 2 here arms that will be adding to the station that will be containing solar panels, and I have balanced them also using the RCS build aid, but I have also balanced them power production wise that they could keep these 2 big antennas running pretty much the whole time. So that is kind of the reasoning behind it, and we need to, supply enough power for this station components to actually operate. But like I said, my focus was to provide enough power supply for the comm dishes. And I made my life a little bit more complicated than I should have by docking at this angles, but okay. It's not really that big a deal. 1 arm connected, time to connect the second one. Okay, decoupling, switching to it, and let's once again do the undocking and redocking dance. Okay, angling ever so gently. Yep, a little bit more. Almost there, got it. Okay, so it seems that it's well aligned, so we just need to rotate, and then we need to thrust again backwards. I needed to put these guys folded, at 90 degrees, and since we are not playing with infernal robotics, which I would normally use, I had to basically undock them and redock them at the correct angle. Great. Okay. That being said, the next thing that we need to do is to deploy the solar panels. And for some reason I had them on the action group, but for some reason it didn't want to listen to me. So I don't know if it has to do anything with undocking and redocking. So maybe it has, but anyway. There we go. So, rotating ever so slightly, and I want to position the station to be normal. I mean, with this little docking ports and stuff sticking out, I'm a little bit worried that I would break it apart. But let's try ever so gently and see if it will work. Like this. Okay, a little bit counter, and I think it's enough. Wow, that actually worked. Amazing. So, one of my signature things that I tend to do is I tend to use actually 4 split screens because I have 4 satellites, and I figured I didn't want to bore you with each and every one setting up, so I figured I had set them up all 4 at the same time. Obviously, when I was setting them up, this happened sequentially, but when I'm showing this to you guys, basically I'm pretty sure that you already know how to position the communication satellites, and I'm doing a criss-crush or X configuration where I'll have 2 pairs. 2 satellites will be directly opposite each other in the orbit, so 180 degrees if you think about it, and they will be positioned at plus 30 degrees incline, while the other ones will do the same configuration and minus 30 degrees incline. So they should provide in orbits that are inclined enough so they get above Moon and provide enough coverage in each moment that one station, or at least one satellite or 2, should be within coverage of Kerbin. So that's the reasoning anyway. And they will be in 700 kilometer orbits, and I have designed their orbits so that their orbital period is matched. Roughly it needs to be equal for all of them, and I think it was roughly 2 hours 51 minutes and something. Here you can see in the bottom right how they look like. So some setups, and I'm also decided to disable the engines on some of them just to make sure that they don't refire once the satellites have been properly set up. So that's the reasoning anyway. Okay, I think most of them are by now in their orbits and set up. A little bit, few more burns, I think, at least for the initial satellite, and then we will be in the correct placement. Okay. I think this is a convenient way to show when everything is going on. And let me now show you how it looks like the final configuration. You can see the circular orbits, and you can see how many satellites I have. These are 2 pairs, which once I start time acceleration you will see. One is going up, one is going down, and they are maintaining connection between each other, and all of them are reporting back to Kerbin. So our station has a very, very good redundancy when it comes to availability of communication signals. At every single moment in time, it has all what it needs to be able to communicate back to Kerbin, which was the main focus of what I was supposed to deploy for the collaboration space station. This is the satellite that is being used, and you can see it has 4 solar panels and 2 small communication relays, which are enough for the Moon range. The station itself, though, is equipped with bigger communication dishes that would enable it, if you can see them 2 at above. These 2 communication dishes would be enough to provide communication, I think, all the way up to Joule and even further out, because they are pretty big and have pretty good range. Okay, so I believe this is my station. Once again, a big thanks to Matt Lown, Marcus House for organizing this YouTube collab, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. And for all of you guys, like if you like, hit subscribe for more KSP content that you haven't seen, and I would urge you to check out the whole playlist, how is the whole station being assembled. And you will be able to see it on Matt Lown's YouTube page. He has a playlist. Once again, thank you very much for watching. This is GrunfWorks signing out.